The mile is such a versatile event in track and field that it leaves the door open to many variations of the race. The most popular examples of these are the beer mile, the chocolate milk mile, hell, there was even a Mountain Dew mile at one point. All of these consist of consuming something every lap and running the rest of the race as you normally would. But there's an entirely different world out there where people are basically pulling something out of their garage or their wardrobe and creating an entirely new genre of mile shenanigans to be shown off to the rest of the world. The stroller mile fits this criteria pretty easily, and you'll be quite surprised to find out that people have been entertaining the thought of this record for a couple decades now. The main mystery we're going to try and solve here is, what exactly is the fastest mile run with a stroller, and what are the rules for this record? Well, let's lay it all out on the table. But first, we need to go all the way back to where people first started talking about it. The first noteworthy mention of racing a mile with a baby stroller was discussed on letsrun.com, a popular running forum site. The person in question claims to already have a 4:12 mile PR and was trying to find out what the fastest mile was with a baby stroller, along with what the rules were too. The thread wasn't particularly helpful for the most part, but one person linked a couple pictures of a guy running with a baby stroller at a race called the Millennium Mile. Surely enough, when you cross-reference the results with the pictures, it confirms that a man by the name of Darren Shearer ran a time of 4 minutes and 13 seconds with his kid on board. This time almost seems unbelievable from the start, and to an extent you're not entirely wrong, because this course is a point-to-point net decline of 86 feet. While this is a jarring handicap in any race, it's still an absurd time, as if we take this mile from someone's downhill 5K, the grade adjusted pace, or gap, turns this 428 mile into a 437, and this mile shown is 42 feet steeper, meaning that Shearer's conversion would be even less time taken off. Now, gap is certainly not the end-all be-all conversion tool for hills, but this definitely illustrates to a degree that Shearer still would have run a blistering fast time on a standard track. The next record that was claimed was also done on a road by two-time Olympian Anthony Famigliette, securing a time of 4:23. The course shown in the video is also point-to-point, but extremely flat. There's one key ingredient missing from this baby stroller race though: the baby. It sounds silly, but I think it's safe to say that pushing a stroller with a virtually weightless SpongeBob plushie is at the very least slightly advantageous, especially when running at this intensity for a mile straight. So what would be the most logical criteria for setting an official world record then? Well, as for the stroller, as long as it doesn't have anything crazy like an engine in it or something, that should be fine. Secondly, there does need to be a passenger, preferably a baby or a toddler inside the stroller. Anything else, and you're probably dealing with some deeper rooted issues. You should also have at least one hand on the stroller, and all wheels should be on the ground at all times. Lastly, doing this mile on a track would be the most even and consistent grounds possible. As long as all these criteria are met, everything should be good to go. In that case, what was the first notable record set under these conditions? On August 16th, 2017, Voitaripa became the first man to run a mile with a baby stroller in 5 minutes flat. Well, 4:59 according to the video, but he starts from the 1600 meter mark instead of the mile mark. So if we add a bit over a second, it likely adds up to a 5 flat or 5:01 mile. The splits were run very evenly all around, rolling 75s for just about the entire thing, wrapping up a very clean stroller mile time. On October 26, 2020, Denver triathlete Andrew Voss decided to go for the record. Voss would come through the first lap in 70 and came through the halfway point in 2:23. Voss had slowed down considerably on lap 3, but still held his own coming through in 3:39. While he still felt the fatigue pretty hard from lap 3, he managed to gut it out to close in under 5 minutes for a time of 4 minutes 57 seconds.
Let's go, Andrew! All the way! All the way! $4:57! Woo! Awesome work!
Chris Ritchie ran 13 seconds under this just a month after, and while there was a baby on board, the record was done on the road, which in this case, we can still qualify as a record, just a separate road one since it was done on a pretty even route. Eventually, in 2022, Robert Holcomb had gotten quite a bit of press for his crack at the record. In fact, he claimed to have gone for it 3 separate times until he managed to run 4:53. No full video of it is public, but the Strava activity does exist, and the footage that is shown appears to follow all the rules. 2 months later, Californian triathlete Taylor Hoosman opted for an attempt after a high school meet. The crowd was pretty sizable, and you can tell the adrenaline was getting to Hoosman from the start, as he came through the first lap in 67 seconds, and then the halfway point in 2:17. He did slow down a bit on lap 3, but was still way ahead of the record. As the high school crowd roared and Hoosman strided in, he would go home with a fresh new record of 4:41 and was the king of the stroller mile. Except, he unfortunately wasn't, and well, Robert Holcomb never actually held the record either. On YouTube, there is a video with less than 30 views. This video is a 4:38 stroller mile by Andrew Binkowski. There's a baby in the stroller, it's on a track, and if we run through the splits, there's no reason why this shouldn't be considered the current world record in this category, because let's be honest, since when has anyone taken Guinness World Records seriously as the home of actual world records nowadays? This race was run phenomenally smart, as he came through the first lap in 70, 2:20 at the halfway point, 3:30 at the third lap, and a nice 68 to close out for a perfectly smooth, perfectly legitimate world record. There are not many records of people trying to run a mile as fast as humanly possible with a stroller, but I couldn't help but dig a bit into this super niche area of records where this was, and still is to an extent, a competitive endeavor people want to chase after. There are definitely some mile records I don't know about, so if any of you know some weird ones that have a bit of competitive history to it, I'd love to hear in the comments, and maybe I'll look into them a bit. Until then, this has been the brief history of the Baby Stroller Mile World Record, and thanks for watching. Thank you to my patrons for supporting the channel, and if you want to support the channel for more videos like this, come on over and become a patron, and hey, drop a sub if you're new here too. I'll see you on whatever video I upload next, and take care.